Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today is the CHEO Community Garden. It's been so long since we've talked to you, Fern. I forgot to. Anyway,
call it the CHEO Garden.
Garden.
I do that. It's just so easy to say that.
Fern Vasquez is with us. Michael Graham is with us, and she has brought two of her volunteers, and I'll let you introduce them.
All right. Volunteer number one over here is Maria Wigoski and Debbie Fuchetti here. And they have, they're the ones who show up quietly, do their work, spend the time in the sun.
Sure.
And are in an unceremonious kind of way. And I just thought it would be good to show the face of our volunteers.
Sure. Well, volunteers what makes this project work.
It couldn't work without the volunteers.
Because you have to depend on Michael to do anything. I mean, I know...
I do my best.
He's great at putting the fence up. I mean, he is good at that.
Well, let me tell you what he's good at. He's also good about pitching in.
He is.
If you had passed the garden this past Sunday, you would have seen him out there in the garden by himself working.
Yeah, I do that. He wants to do it in the background. He doesn't like the publicity, but that's why I brought it up, just to kind of embarrass him a little bit. But that's okay. Michael does a great work, and I know he's out there, and you have a lot of people that just come week after week after week, all summer long, and volunteer, and it's just great.
And it is hard work, and
but it's rewarding.
But it's very rewarding work, and I'm the one who gets to see the faces of some of the people that we serve.
Right.
And it's when you walk in and you have a bushel of tomatoes, and you may have a line of people, of moms with their kids and so forth, and some older people as well. Uh-huh. And as I walk in, I hear the oohs and the ahs, like, am I going to get some of that?
Yeah.
And
real tomatoes.
Real tomatoes, right. And those tomatoes are like big and juicy looking. I mean, you talk about...
And they taste like tomatoes.
Right. There's the phrase farm to table, and that's a big catchphrase for restaurants to use. Right. So this is farm to table in a very real way.
You work all spring and summer, and and you think, I plant. But when the harvest comes, that's when the joy comes. I think you really see that.
Yes.
You don't realize it, all that work, and it seems like overnight, there it is. It's harvesting, and about 90 days or so, we've got all this tons of food that you produce out of those gardens. So what's on the plan for this year? Are we going to stick with our two gardens that we have?
Yeah, and with one surprise. And I'll let Mike go into a little bit.
We're getting scientific now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, after 2 years, we've picked up a lot of experience, and we're going science now this year.
Follow the science.
We're going to follow the science, and we're going to get smart on what we're going to plant, because what we found with bringing a second garden in, we have a lot of duplicate vegetables, and we have an overabundance of too much sometimes.
Right.
So this year, the garden down by the dog park, the Kreiser Road Garden, we're going to specialize in maybe about 5 different vegetables down there. We're going to go with potatoes, which is Fern's favorite vegetable or fruit, or whatever.
Well, last year was your first year of potatoes, wasn't it?
We had a very successful potato year, and so I
Sorry.
Yeah, Mike likes to tease a lot about that, but
but she told me she wanted potatoes.
Right.
I mean, she put her foot in the dirt and go, "I want potatoes,"
and she got them.
And she got them.
Yeah,
we got more of them this year.
Yeah, normally I'm very in the background and shy.
Sure.
And
except when it comes to potatoes.
But I reserve special topics for me to just take and go with.
Sure.
Oh, this year's corn too. We'll talk about corn.
Okay.
In a minute.
Yes.
So tell us about this scientific adventure then.
Well, like I said, we're going to break down the gardens. The Virginia Hills Church garden was very, very successful. Mm-hmm. It's not surprising because that used to be a big farm out there, so the dirt was really, really good. And we just we had a bumper crop of tomatoes out there that went. I mean, these tomatoes, they grew almost like tree size. I've never seen tomatoes that big. And so this year in the Kreiser Garden, what we're going to have is specialized in Fern's potatoes. We're going to have zucchini, squash, which do great down there, cucumbers, and peppers, and then we're going to have a lot more of the herbs this year down there because the local restaurants really love the herbs. And we're going to add a nice little touch. We're going to have some cut flowers. So if people want to come down and cut some flowers, we're we're going to put that down in that garden. But that garden does really well with these basic crops. Now, we don't want to have the same thing out of the other garden, because normally when the cucumbers and the zucchinis and squash are going, we just have too many. You can't give them away.
You almost can't give them away.
Right. So the garden up in out at the Virginia Hills now is going to be more specialized. We're going to have a lot of green beans, a lot of lettuce, a lot of other type stuff in there that does very well, and that'll be the tomato patch. We'll grow the tomato patch back out there.
I think the church prays over those tomatoes. That's why they.
I never seen
so many tomatoes. Every time you turned around, there were more tomatoes.
Yeah,
and Debbie was the one.
Yeah, Debbie spent most of her time at the.
She spent many mornings and probably afternoons. I don't know when you went.
Well, mostly mornings.
In that tomato patch.
That was like you would pick and pick and pick, and then you say, "Well, like we could skip tomorrow," and then you. But for some reason, you'd go back the next day, and there were just as many the next day.
On the same vine, you just pick them.
Yeah.
Like,
We bought some cherry tomatoes once, and the plant seed was called Hundreds of Tomatoes. I thought, well, that's just a gimmick, right? Literally, the leaves were off the plant, and it still produced tomatoes. Yeah. Hundreds of tomatoes. And it was like, at the end, it was just like one little tomato hanging, a Charlie Brown tomato plant or something. But it was great. When it said hundreds of tomatoes, I think we got 1,000 tomatoes off of it.
Well, again, we're going with the science, Mike,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so we're not going to do cherry tomatoes this year.
No,
we don't
they-
need hundreds of tomatoes.
Right.
Now that presents a little problem for Maria, because she's our tomato specialist at the other garden. So she's going to have to transfer some of those skill sets to help Deb in the tomato patch out in the other garden. So the other thing which we're going to do is we're going to have a semi-third garden, because Fern wanted corn. Now, corn is just a little different because it kind of grows and it takes up a lot of space. You got to have a lot of it. So we have a local farmer here that has volunteered about a quarter acre. He wanted to give me a half acre of corn. I said, no, I think we might be able to handle a quarter acre. So he's actually going to plant and seed a quarter acre of corn for us out on Bentonville. Mm-hmm. And he's going to stagger it so that it doesn't all come due at the same time.
Right.
So that should be fine. That allows the volunteers to get out there and won't kill themselves doing a quarter acre of corn. Yeah. So we're going to have corn this year, which is different. We're going to have a lot of the other crops out at the Virginia Hills one, and then we're going to have a specialized crop in the one down next to the dog park. So, we're really getting to it now. The other thing, which is really nice, is the same farmer, he's a great guy. He's going to drop off a lot of turkey manure. And in fact, this weekend coming up, he's going to drop it off at the potato garden, because potatoes now have to be planted probably into this month.
Right.
We don't have to plant the other stuff until May, and so we're kind of expediting that effort down in there now to get the turkey manure on there, and he's going to plow it all up. So Fern has got 100 pounds of potatoes now you got coming to us.
Yeah, well, getting close there.
And 100 pounds of tomatoes will give you about 2
potatoes.
tons of
Potatoes, yeah.
That poultry manure is powerful stuff.
Well, we only have to do it once every 2 years,
Yes.
so that tells you how strong it is. I mean, we're really getting scientific here now.
It is very powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful elixir of the soil, so to speak. Let me ask you real quick, what do you gain? What do you think you gain from helping in these gardens? I want to ask you the same question so you can think about it.
Well, for the most part, it's just it's rewarding to do something where you know that people are going to appreciate it and get things back. It also helped me learn more about gardening, because I'm not a gardener. I always used to joke that, if you want to plant a dye, you should bring it to me.
That's right. You don't have a green thumb, right?
But, I learned a lot and met some interesting people. So I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah, just good community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My wife always said she never uses gardening gloves. She just likes the dirt in her hands. Mm-hmm. For some reason, at the end of the day, she looks like she's been in the coal mine. She's got all that black dirt, rich dirt right in her fingernails, and she spends days cleaning it off. But she loves it. I mean, she just likes the feel of that in the garden. What about you?
I'm the same way. This will be my 3rd year that I'm participating, and I love getting out in nature and touching the dirt and, just connecting with the earth. And I have been able to make new friends during this time. It is fun doing the tomatoes and the beans and the fresh herbs. And as you're working, you're communicating with people around you, and it's quite lovely. It's really nice, and it's peaceful, and I enjoy it, and I recommend people coming out.
Every once in a while, the train whistle goes off out there where you're at. I know.
That's true.
So we need more volunteers, probably. I mean,
Yes.
we want to share this experience to
Yes.
as many people as we can. So how do people volunteer for this?
They can call me on my cell number,
Okay.
which is area code 757-630-2362.
And we'll put that below the video here.
You can put that below the video. And, or they can email, actually, this is under the umbrella of CCAP.
Right.
So they can actually email CCAP and just in the subject line put garden volunteer.
Okay.
And I will get that information to you. I don't recall it right off the top of my head.
We'll take care of that.
We'll
put
take
all
care of
that
that. We'll put that
information.
all that information in
Right.
there. I wanted to just add on to your talking about working with your hands in the dirt. And we were thinking of what would be one of the themes that we could put out there, just a statement. And a friend of mine thought up, why not say, get your hands a little dirty?
Yeah. There you go.
And that would be one of the themes that we would have. I want to stress also one of the things that I would like to see this year. We've had a good number of our participants last year filled this category, but I'd like to get some of the young kids involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a lot of the deliveries, but I struggle a little bit with carrying the weight of it. Because I'm older and back issues and that kind of thing. Mature, right? I'm mature. My back has matured. And so it would be really helpful if I could get 2 young kids that I could pick up and we could go do the deliveries.
Mm-hmm.
I think, at a young age, teaching your kids the role that service can play in their life is a very important one. So I would really like involvement from the Boy Scouts, from Girl Scouts, from people bringing their let's just say 12 to 16-year-old. I would love to see them get involved in the garden as well. Right. I could use them in my deliveries. We could use them in the garden for harvesting. Sure. So I would like to place a call out, and if your kids are at the PlayStation too much or the Xbox too much, you could say, look, I got 2 hours that you can go out and get some sunshine.
It's not something you stay all day or have to do it for 8 hours.
No,
you can come and go and spend as much time as you can.
Right.
Well, we have this large homeschooling community, and this would be a great learning experience for someone. The social interaction skills which are needed, the agricultural thing, the science of growing, and just a good experience for young people to see that where does our groceries come from, and someone says, oh, it comes from Martin's, that's really
that's part of it.
That's part of it. But, how does it get there? So it's a good experience, I think, for people to get out, and also the act of just volunteering and sharing. Because, like I like to say, is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So this is a good way to show people that we do care, and that we help you help a lot of people in providing a lot of this nutritious vegetables that you just don't get out of a can.
Right. Organic.
We love that word, organic. So this is truly organic food.
It is.
Yeah, not too much science, especially with turkey manure.
How many tons of food?
Sound bad. That's really a good thing.
How many tons of food did we get out of both gardens last year?
Well, we got a ton. We did 2 tons of food last year. Right. The food I did not separate as to what came from what garden because that was too difficult to do. They're just bushel baskets of food. But we did a total of 4,000 pounds last year.
That's
we did 2,000 pounds the first year. Right. So we have done 3 tons of food of fresh produce. Right. And this year, if we do the corn, that's going to raise.
That'll put the weight up anyway.
That'll put the numbers on the board.
I think the potatoes is the one that's going to turn it. Yeah,
and the sweet potatoes too. We got a lot of sweet potatoes.
We did do a lot of sweet potatoes as well.
Bumper crop of sweet potatoes.
But that was out at the other garden. We didn't have a good bumper crop.
Oh no. Well, you had a little drainage problem down there.
Yeah. So speaking of the ways you water, they put it scientific. They've got a drip irrigation system.
Yes.
And so, you don't have to haul water like you were originally planning to do.
Right.
And it's amazing how these blessings just kind of came right at the right time when you needed it. I mean, and so this happened. So it'll happen again this year. I mean,
yes,
I'm sure
and I'd like to give credit to Corey Hunsden. He was a farmer in Arizona for many years, and he helped to develop that drip system and to perfect it. And he was just happened to be walking by the garden for a day of planting in 2020, our first garden planting. Right. And he said, I can help out with that. I know how to do that. Yeah. And
that's
he
where
actually
most of
donated.
our volunteers come.
Yeah, right.
They're walking by and say, "What are you doing?" And so, "Well, come on down here." Next thing you know, we put them to work. But no, it's really truly amazing. The community has really stepped forward. I mean, financially, we're in really good shape this year. Yes. So what we're really pushing for this year is volunteers and to break into the community a little bit more. Like I said, the homeschools. We'd love to get a homeschool program for, so the kids can come out there.
How about the FFA out of Skyline?
Yes, we
had to reach out there and say, come on over.
Yeah.
Well, we want everybody to come over.
Yes,
because even our challenges to the churches, there's 60 churches here in Front Royal, believe it or not, in Warren County. And we figured that we're going out to the churches now saying, hey, can you dedicate just 1 week? That's all we need is 1 week. Because the growing season is around 18 weeks. But you don't need a lot of people during the picking season. You just need consistent flow.
Right.
The two big
we need weed pullers.
Well, this year we're going science, Mike. You remember we're going science.
we're going landscape.
We're going landscape cloth, fabric,
straw.
and everything.
That works.
We're going to eliminate weed pulling as best we can.
Well, I've seen that in the big farms. They do that.
Oh yeah.
And it does help controlling the.
Yeah, we didn't do too much weed pulling.
No, you did a great job
out at the Virginia Hills Garden last year because they had it all covered in hay and things, so that we didn't have a lot of weed.
Right.
So each year we learned, and last year at the garden where Deb was at, we had a master gardener which was leading the way. And
Mary Jo.
Mary Jo was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, she ran a tough garden, but it was great, and she took us places that we never even thought. I mean, they were building the mounds up, and they put chicken manure around the plants. That's maybe why those tomato plants grew so well.
Well, it is. Yeah. That poultry stuff is powerful.
Yeah. So we're going to continue. I mean, we're going to pick up everything she taught us and apply it to the rest of the gardens now.
Yeah. The other thing that we did last year, which I think helped and enhanced our the tomato crop, was that we put cattle fencing up so that the tomatoes actually grew up the cattle fence, and that kept them from the rot that occurs when they when they touch the ground. Right. So all these tomatoes grew up, and as you're going up toward the garden, you could see it looked like tomato trees. I mean, these were like 6 feet tall.
Biggest tomatoes I've ever seen. But I want to call out our volunteer program last year was great. We had the Mormon Church and had a lot of their missionary kids. Now, it's nice having 6 or 7 strong young people pulling that cattle fence around. So I think they want to come back and help us this year.
Help us this year.
Gene Kilby was great. He brought out a lot of his people that he knew out there, and we're a true rainbow coalition of community here.
Right.
So we have everybody out there helping and getting along. Like Maria said, it's really nice just to hang out. And actually, there was no politics talk during the whole time.
Oh my gosh, how did we survive?
Yeah.
Well, it was a deliberate effort to try to just to communicate with people in a way that did not evoke any kind of controversy. I mean, it's
all about the food.
It's all about the food and the goal of your effort. Of the efforts that you're putting through out there.
Yeah. More tomatoes, more potatoes. That's what we're looking for.
Go get potatoes. Go have potatoes.
And potatoes and corn.
Potatoes and corn. Well, that's good.
Yeah, you heard it here. You heard it first here from Frank.
Well, we appreciate all the effort that you've done, and I know you have a lot of other people that's been involved in this that are just kind of hiding in the background that don't really like to get the publicity like, some people. But other than that...
Well, they came under duress.
I
know. Like a little arm twisting.
Twist their arm, but that's okay. Right. Really appreciate the youth volunteering and helping and sharing in the wealth.
Very gratifying.
It is, and that's what I think we want to stress here is that you can be part of this.
Yes.
We want you to sign up. We'll get you the information. Click the links below. Call the phone number. Call Fern. and volunteer to help out in the CHEO Community Garden.
Yes.
Number 3.
That's it. Year
Third
3.
year.
Year 3. That's
Year
right.
3,
Exactly. Not
yes.
3 garden, but let's see. This is the 3rd annual. How's that?
Third annual.
It is.
It's a great work. We hope there'll be many more years of it, and we can keep passing this on down through the generations and get some young people involved, and someone will pick this up as we get a little older, and we'll be able to. But that's something you could. I want to say there's people out there much older than all of us.
Oh yeah.
And working, and you can see they enjoyed it, and
Yes.
you do what you can.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you do what you can. That's one thing about it. Don't worry about if you think you're too old
No,
or too
it's
young.
It's not a problem.
They'll find a place for you.
That's
All
right.
Especially if those tomatoes get like tree size. You don't even have
You
to
don't have to
squat
bend
down.
You
Now
don't
you
have to
just
bend
pick-
over. You can just
pick like
be picking
that.
them,
Yeah.
picking them up. Very
Just
easy.
wait for them to grow up.
Just wait
pick
for them to
them
grow
up.
up and pull them off.
Again, thanks so much. Appreciate
All right.
all the things you do for
Thank
our
you.
community. It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.